So I'm here. We're here with Mr. Mark Jackson, and I'm Neal, and this is Mark. And you're the only other person I know. Well, that's not true. David Busatil has artwork in his background, but you're the only other person I know with
Sorry, has David Booth still what?
he has artwork in his
Ah,
background.
wow.
Typical, but you have child artwork in your background. You're the only other person I know who has child artwork. I think it's child artwork in
It,
your background.
you're flattering my daughter now. Yeah,
Yeah,
there is.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Where is it? This this one. I'm too close. This one here is my particular favorite. Shit,
Mm.
she drew it, and I was just jaw dropped. Like, oh my god, that's so good. She's 9 years old at the moment.
Okay,
It's fantastic drawing. It's me and
yeah,
her, and she just captures herself so perfectly. I think the rest is hers, the child drawings. Bless her.
mm,
Bless your children,
thank you.
children.
Yeah, just one for now. Yeah.
Okay, well,
So
good luck with that. Can I ask,
yeah,
Daedalus, what is that?
have you heard of the myth of Daedalus and Icarus?
Perhaps, but why not retell it?
Okay. Um, it's very similar to
Icarus was the guy with the wax wings.
yeah. Everybody remembers Icarus. Nobody remembers Daedalus. It's a very interesting thing.
Oh, poor Neal.
Well, it's because people remember the object of the tragedy, not the cause of the tragedy.
Was Daedalus
Um,
his father?
yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
he made the wings.
correct. Yeah.
Right. Okay. You
So
can still tell the story.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love stories. So
Um, King Minos secured Daedalus as he's the great artificer. I think that's the word. Um, he's a little bit like Hephaestus, or there are all these gods about there are all these mythologies about industry or using industry or science and
the
technology.
the really
Uh,
smart guy of the age. He was
um,
that guy. Yeah.
yeah, I I don't see it so much as intelligence, but as using basically the it's spell casting in a way. It's like using the technology to accomplish some aim. So King Minos hired Daedalus in order to build the labyrinth to house the Minotaur, and then in order to ensure that no one knew the secret of the labyrinth, he had to trap Daedalus and his son into
Ah,
into the labyrinth.
that's in a
Yeah,
film somewhere, I think.
yeah, maybe. Um, but I always thought that the wings were emblematic, symbolic of technology, because Daedalus says to his son, he's like, "All right, we're going to get out of here." And but if you fly too close to the sun, then if you fly too close to the water, then your wings will get wet and they'll fall apart and you'll drown. If you fly too close to the sun, then the sun will melt the wax in the wings and they'll come apart and you'll drown. And he gives Icarus this warning, but the once you're in flight, then the temptation is so great that
Yeah.
yeah,
Especially if you're a young man. I'm
yes,
flying.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know.
Ooh.
I've identified with that. I think I was about 15 or 16 when maybe even 14, like 14 or 15 when I took on that mnemonic. Um, and it actually comes from three sources that I took on that mnemonic. Now, given that all three are from the original Greek myth, but one is the myth, which I read around that time. I think I explored it. Um, The first one, or the most important to me, was this game called Deus Ex, and there's an AI in there called Daedalus, and the AI is responsible for basically saving your life, and it starts to guide you, almost like a guardian angel, actually.
Like a
Um,
dungeon master.
uh, well, it's the dungeon master puts you in jail, and this guardian angel comes and lets you out of jail. Very much like, and I was unfamiliar with the story at the time, but it is very much like a Peter imprisoned, um, where the angel comes and Peter just leaves.
I might
Um,
have to tell that story.
that's an
I
Acts
feel
of the
like I'm
Apostles.
interviewing you.
Let's see. And out of prison. Oh, we have time. So, okay. Peter was therefore, this is Acts of the Apostles, chapter 12, verses 5 through 17. Peter was therefore kept in prison, but constant prayer was offered to God for him by the church. And when Herod was about to bring him out, that night Peter was sleeping, bound with two chains between two soldiers, and the guards before the door were keeping the prison. Now behold, an angel of the Lord stood by him, and a light shone in the prison. And he struck Peter on the side and raised him up, saying, Arise quickly. And the chains fell off his hands. And then the angel said to him, Gird yourself and tie on your sandals. And so he did. And he said to him, Put on your garment and follow me. So Peter went out and followed him, and he did not know what was done by the angel was real, but thought that he was seeing a vision. When they were past the first and second guard posts, they came to the iron gate that leads to the city, which opened to them of its own accord. And they went out and went down one street, and immediately the angel departed from him. And when Peter had come to himself, he said, Now I know for certain that the Lord has sent his angel and has delivered me from the hand of Herod and from all the expectation of the Jewish people. And then there's
That's
the
heavy.
story. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
I should have known that. I should know that story. Why don't I know that story?
I've always felt like Acts of the Apostles. I of any book of the Bible that I don't know well enough, it was Acts of the Apostles. I don't know why that is, but I always felt that way. And one thing I've noticed of people who know the Bible well, like people in the corner when people in the corner talk about the Bible, it's always the epistles. Like it's always the letters of St. Paul, or it's always the letters of St. Paul. But I rarely hear them talking about Acts, which is strange. But
Yeah, I'm really not a Bible scholar.
no, it's okay.
I know. We all have a different offerings to bring to the table.
Mhm.
Mine are different. It's okay. So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, you wanted to you pose science and religion, and I know you're writing a Substack. I haven't read it, but I asked you to send it to me.
I sent you a link, but you were probably in bed at the time.
Oh, okay. Let me take a look. Yeah. Oh, I probably shouldn't read it right now. So.
Well, there's I think it's 12 of them now.
Oh,
I'm,
wow.
I'm trying to do one a week.
Nice.
Yeah,
What
I'm
what
working on. Go on.
No, what's the theme? Like what's the thing you're circling around?
Oh, that's perfectly put because I really am circling around a few themes. Um, okay, so one theme I'm circling around, I'm calling the wall in the garden. Um, did you see Grim Grizz's recent post where he had Ethan Corey, is it, on his channel?
I think that was last night. Yeah.
Yeah, Ethan was talking about some stuff which comes very close to something I'm skirting around. I'm trying to write the main article for that thing I'm skirting around. But it's It's really difficult. Um, but the idea is, so we have this word personality, and the word Dahlia, come. Sorry. The word literally means it comes from persona, meaning the mask we wear. It's a mask. We wear a mask, and this mask manifests, creates itself in various ways. Um, for example, to use PVK's language, the hot chick. Nobody goes after the hot chick in school because we're afraid of getting our heart broken. So we pretend we're not interested. And this pretend is part of a mask that we wear. We hide our feelings. We don't want to get burnt, so we put on a mask. Everyone does this. Um, if you've had a particularly shitty childhood, um, you tend to wear a thicker mask because you've been burnt at a young age. And you tend to hide in intellectual pursuits. This is a common feature I witness. And I was trying to explain this on the Marc J channel, and after the podcast, I spent a week pondering and thinking I did a really bad job of explaining this. And during that week, my wife came home. She quit her job to nurse her father in his deathbed, and she had a particularly miserable day. And she came home and she put on a certain album that you might be able to guess. No, Dahlia. And I was listening to the album and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. The Wall in the Garden. So the album was Pink Floyd's The Wall. And the wall represents our persona, the mask we wear. And the garden is what's behind the mask, our soft, squishy bits that we don't really like to show other people because we're afraid they might damage us. Does this make sense?
Oh, wholeheartedly. Yeah, I think the single thing that resonated me. I'm kind of throwing shade at Groom Grizz and the podcast last night, but the single thing that resonated with me was when Ethan said, "Thinking of the person like a city,"
A
and
walled
if
city.
yeah, yep, and which
And he
is
talked
different.
about architecture and stuff, and I thought, yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Sorry, carry on.
No, no, it's interesting then because the difference between a city and a garden is nature versus culture, if you or the ideal. And either way, you have the wall in order to protect, either keep something in or keep something out. Um, yeah, sorry, go on. I want to hear more.
Okay, so you can parallel the wall in the garden with the Garden of Eden. So I haven't checked this, but I trust Jordan Peterson when he says that the Eden literally means a walled garden. You've heard him say that?
I think
So
so.
we
Yep.
got the image right there as well. And God walks inside the garden. He doesn't walk on the wall. He's in the garden. He's in our soft squidgy bits that we don't want to show anyone. Don't know how the snake got in there. What else? So people love to decorate the wall. I don't know if that makes sense. So
I
we put
actually, as you were talking, I had this image of like ivy growing on and over the wall, like the secret garden, if you're familiar with that. But because walls can be beautiful. They can be absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Um, so we love to decorate. I mean, this beard is wall decoration. It's, whatever. I don't care. My daughter loves it, and it's long enough for my wife to tug at, so she quite likes it now. And I can change my hair color and do piercings and tattoos and crap, and it's just decorating the wall. It's got nothing to do with the garden, which is where God inhabits. And so, okay, another thing I wrote was, hey, this is something you talk about as well: deconstruction. Deconstruction, I said, is lowering the walls brick by brick such that the light of God can shine in the garden. So I'd love to know your thoughts about that sentence. Because Christians often use this idea of deconstruction flippantly, and I think it's an incredibly painful process and not one to be taken lightly. So yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah. No, I agree. I've reached the conclusion that not it's not the appropriate action of ever force the deconstruction. That forcing the deconstruction on someone is a selfish act. Um,
I
that
don't. Sorry,
yeah, no, yeah, I'll start there. I have some other thoughts, but yeah, if you have thoughts on that. Mhm.
I don't know how you can force it on someone. Oh
Um,
no, okay, fair enough.
mhm.
So I'm a big Gurdjieff fan. Something he said is never rob another man of his religion because it's built up in childhood, and can't remember what else he said, but basically just never strip that away from someone because it can be destroying.
Yeah, or another way of thinking about it is, you can train habits and patterns and ways of doing things. I don't think it's possible to train passion or to so if someone is really passionate about something and you think to yourself like, "Oh, that's not a particularly, or it's not 100% good, it's not, you know, um, to rob them of their passion." And I would almost describe the passion as like the garden itself in some way, shape, or form.
Can I be
Yeah.
vulgar?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the phrase? Don't piss on someone else's party. Something like that.
Yeah.
Don't piss on someone else's parade. There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
if they're celebrating, let them celebrate,
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah. So, like,
Oh, I don't agree with their celebration. Yeah.
I used to be far more, I think sardonic is probably the right word. Like, most things in the world, I would say, "Oh, that's stupid," or "That's this," or "That's," you know, um like, Mardi Gras is a good example of that, where I would say, like, you
I
create
want to go to it
so
one day.
much countless, tons of bullshit and garbage that needs to just, like, sit on, it needs to be scooped up afterwards, and so much is, like, left on the floor, and if it lands on the ground and you then take it after, then it's, like, not it's bad luck, like, it's not the same as you catching it and taking it, and then
It's impure.
yeah, yeah, and but then it's, like, thinking about what's the point of any of this? It's, like, it's so dumb, and then yeah, like, that was I was, like, this pragmatist, Um, no, don't get me wrong, like, it's not like I didn't appreciate the value of a good celebration. I did. But, um, I like with Mardi Gras, like the waste is the point, or the ridiculousness of it is the point, and that was a reality that was completely lost to me. You know, um,
Yeah, you're bringing into my head Jonathan Pajot and what he says about Carnival. Most Who else was saying this? Someone else was. Oh, one of my ex bosses was saying this. Every culture has at least one day where they just get stupid, blind drunk and do idiot things. And when he said that, I'm like trying to find an exception, and I couldn't. It's like every single culture has one day of stupidity.
what's the Northeast Protestant version of that?
When you say I'm not a Protestant, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't say anyway, but
No,
I
no, no.
don't even
But
know
this,
what you mean by Northeast.
well, okay. Oh, sorry, Northeast United States. So like the founding ethos of the United States of
So
the Protestant
New
work ethic.
York, I
But
guess.
there's something, yeah. But there's something that occurred to me actually as I was asking that question. I remember this was maybe about 10 years ago. The New York Times had this quiz where if you took this quiz, they could identify what part of the United States you're from.
I
And
remember that. I was going to try it being not American just to see what
yeah,
it said about
because
me.
you're originally from Great Britain, is that right? Or
England.
okay, okay, it's okay, just regular Britain, not the Great One. I understand.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, we're gonna narrow it down. We're gonna take out Wales. We're gonna take out the Scottish. Yeah,
Well, the
what?
Scottish are proud to be Scottish and the
Yeah.
Welsh are proud to be Welsh, but apparently you're not allowed to be proud to be English. And I say, go yourselves.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, back to the New York Times article. The thing that got me, that identified me as being around from New York, New Jersey, was there was a question that says, "What do you call the day before or the night before Halloween?" And for like 95% of Americans, they're like nothing. That it's just the day before
It
Halloween,
has a
and I'm like,
name.
"Oh, that's Mischief Night." And Mischief Night is
Oh,
just a New York, New Jersey thing, apparently. Like it's not.
oh
And
wow. I
Mischief
had
Night is
no
like
idea.
that's when you do like the toilet paper on trees and you do the bullshit. And it's almost like that combined with Halloween, but really before Halloween, that's like the Mardi Gras
It's
that
like burning bags of shit and ringing the doorbell
yeah,
that night.
exactly. Yeah. Um
Did you ever do that?
no. No.
No,
Okay,
me
I'll tell a
neither.
silly story. There was my
But when you
freshman
were a
year
kid and you didn't know better, and it
bags
happened.
of
One of
shit.
those ones.
um Yeah, there was in college, there was something called a swirly. I think it's called a swirly. But that's when you take someone's head and you put their head into the toilet and you flush. And but
I
usually
thought that
like
was an urban myth.
you'd only do that if the toilet bowl is full, you'd only do that to an enemy, you know? You could do it to a friend if it was relatively clean and empty toilet bowl. But
I thought that was an urban myth.
the
You
yeah.
did that?
No, no, I didn't. So I will tell you something I did do. I did do this. This is I thought this is hilarious actually, but like he was pretty mad. So we had a we had a friend of ours who this was my freshman year of college, and he's like we were just hanging out in the dorm, he just joking around and just hanging out, and he said to us, he's like, "All right, don't wake me up. I got to go to bed now. I've got a important midterm in the morning, like first thing in the morning." And we're like, "Okay, okay, we won't disturb you." So, and he was serious, like, "Don't disturb me." Like, okay. So he went to sleep, and then we had this idea. Somebody had this roll of the dorm doors were like these giant 8-foot doors, and they opened inward, like they opened into the room. and versus outward. And one of our friends had this ridiculous idea. He had this giant roll of duct tape, and he's like, "All right, what if we duct tape his entire door, like from top to bottom, to the wall?" Right. So we're doing this quietly, like, at night. We're just duct taping. So he's sleeping peacefully. He genuinely got a good night's sleep, and we're just quietly like duct taping his entire door to the wall. And then we hear at like 7:30 the next day, it's just like it's like this door, like just going like this, is like, what? Let me, let me. It's just like he has to go back and forth like this for like 20 minutes. I think we took like a box cutter or something and cut the duct tape. But you have that much duct tape across that much surface area. That door was going nowhere. He's trying.
There's actually an English word for student pranks. We call them jolly japes.
Jolly joke. Yeah.
Jolly japes, and sometimes they're not so jolly, but yeah,
Yeah.
stupid things we do with kids.
The most common one that I don't think I ever did this, but there were definitely fraternity brothers were doing this to others on a regular. We called it antiquing. I don't know if antiquing is still around, but okay. So the rule is, if somebody falls asleep in a public, there are rules to these things. And well, okay. So the reason why these pranks are it's important to have it's important to have walls around these pranks, and the reason is that the prank is there to enforce a social standard without you could almost call it like a community enforcement. It's not
Yeah,
a
you
and
can't kill a person as a prank.
yeah,
That's too far.
it's not meant to hurt. It's more meant to just point out that, like, hey, you shouldn't have done this. And like, I didn't really understand that at the time of the pranks. Like at the time of the pranks, it's like, oh, this is just hilarious. Let's do it. But the rules of the even then we took the rules of the prank seriously. And the rules were like, okay, you're not allowed to do this to someone if they're sleeping in a private place, and you're also not allowed to do this if their shoes are off. So their shoes have to be on, and they have
Huh?
to have fallen asleep in a public spot. Yeah, because
Well,
it's
we didn't
something
have the
like
shoes rule.
yeah, well, it's something like you were so drunk or you were so out of it that you fell asleep with your shoes on in a public spot while other people are in it, which is like an inconsiderate thing to do. You know. So okay, so the prank is called antiquing, and you take like a handful of flour, and I think you're only allowed to do one if you're going to do it properly, and then you antique the person. So you put
Ah,
flour over their entire face,
got it.
body, etc. So they wake up as, and it's antiquing because it's like furniture that hasn't moved, or but I don't know what that really. Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Mm. Yeah, I think the worst I did was drawing stuff on people.
uh,
I think that's quite a common prank.
that's the classic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, let's go back to because I really like this concept of the wall and the garden, and also the wall in the city. Like, do you feel like the wall is necessary? Like or let me put it this way, necessary other than just protection. Like, does it actually add to the enrichment of the city or the garden? And then I'm also interested in what you think of a garden versus a city, and why you're calling
Well,
yours a
it's a
garden.
fractal image. So you have a cell wall that protects the soft, squishy stuff from viruses, and you have a city wall that protects the city from attacking people, and we have our own wall that protects us from attacks from outside. So yes, the wall is necessary. Yes, it is fractal. Um, Let me read a quote from the article that I've started writing. 2 seconds. Now, personality is the function of relationship to the external world. It is what relates you to things. If you have a weak, untrained personality, your relationship to the external world is a weak one, and you are probably a nuisance to others. This is the same as saying that your function of relationship to the external world is weak. We will now touch briefly on the meaning of the soul. The soul is the function of relationship to higher powers. The soul should be turned inwards, but ordinarily it's turned outwards towards some object or person in the world of the senses. What? The soul should be turned inwards, but ordinarily it is turned outwards towards some object or person in the world of the senses and remains undeveloped. This should not be. Damn it, where am I? So that was from one of Gurdjieff's pupils. Another pupil talked about false personality, which is a phrase I've always hated, because it's like, a false mask? What are you talking about? But what I think he means is a personality that's, or the wall that's undeveloped, instead of developed by choice. So we have this wall and it's inevitable. And you can decorate it how you want, and that's fine. But it's not the vertical pillar aimed towards God, which is what this guy was saying. I think it was Nichols who said that, but anyway. So we can, if we develop our wall, choose what it looks like and how it connects to other people. And so in that quote, he talks about relationship and personality, the wall being the relationship. So you have one relationship with your mother, one with your father, one with your children, one with your co-workers, one with your friends, etc., etc. So we have all these outward-facing patterns, walls, that we show different people. But generally, we don't choose them. They just happen on their own. But the possibility of choosing our outward-facing look exists. You can call it acting, because we do kind of act. And that's okay as well. But we have to know it's acting. And yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I need to blow my nose as well, forgive me. If I mute, yeah.
No problem. Yeah, you can. Man, that brings so much to my mind. Because I think the wall is inevitable in some way, shape, or form. And we can choose what it looks like. We can choose what the wall's aiming up toward. One image I have is
No, the wall doesn't aim up towards.
no?
Within the wall in the garden,
Mhm.
that's where the possibility of aiming up towards God exists.
Hmm.
The wall does not have that possibility. It's purely external facing. It's
Purely external.
so the garden is the possibility of the vertical, and the wall is the connection to the horizontal. And with proper integration, the horizontal and the vertical become the same thing, but that's really another story.
Yeah, there's this gospel imagery of the city and the hill. Well, that's Revelation actually, but Jesus talks about don't hide your lamp under a bushel, or the city. Hold on, let me see if I can find the exact talking about the city. But the idea is something like if you build, yeah, it's the Sermon on the Mount.
God, I hate the Sermon on the Mount.
Well, let me just read you this one verse.
It's so difficult to understand. I just read it and I'm just like, what?
Okay, here's the
Oh,
verse.
incidentally, my latest post, Substack post, is titled "Blessed Are the Poor in Spirit," because I
We
spent
could
the
talk
week
about that.
pondering it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
actually have real thoughts about that verse. But this is what came to my mind. So you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. So the idea is something like if if the garden, so let's talk about the garden, for instance. Let's say a garden that you're growing on a hill. So if it's growing on a hill, it's already growing closer to God. The closer you go to God, even with the walls that you have, the garden is revealed to everyone. It's because it's on a hill. It's the further up it grows, the more it's clear, the more it's revealed. Um, that's something that came to my mind. Why do you say the walls themselves cannot connect to God? Because I think you're right, but I'm interested in your intuition.
Because they're not real. They're, I mean, they can't. They're made of stone. And
Are
there's
the
only a
walls?
certain limit to how far you can pile stone, and then you end up with the Tower of Babel.
Yeah, are the walls techne? Are they all forms of human engineering and technology?
Oof, not thought about that.
So let me give an example, because this is something that I'll give you a personal example that and this struck me as you were in 2020. I made the decision to just get off of all social media. I got off of Facebook. I still have a Facebook, but I haven't checked it. Um,
So
I deleted Twitter. I
you
just
can't
I
delete Facebook. It's really annoying.
Oh, okay. I didn't try, but um, I got off of all of it, and I did that because I was no longer convinced that this tool, that these sites or these forms of technology were helping either me or anyone else, for that matter. It wasn't making me better, like more aimed toward God. It wasn't, and anything I attempted to do on them was not helping or aiming anyone else in a positive direction.
Okay,
So
I
I
think
got,
I understand the question.
yeah, and
Um,
but what's interesting is that when Chad had to step away from the Friday Morning Nameless, I'm like, no, 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 I should do this, or it's important that I do this, as I need to take up the mantle, so to speak. Um, and especially, I think it was on the that's it. Charlie Kirk got assassinated, and I had a conversation with Nick already scheduled that evening, and that pivotal moment is what made me decide, okay, I've got to start doing this.
so you studied economics, right? Did I
Yep,
get that right? Yeah.
that's correct.
So
Mhm.
I say to people, money is just a tool. It's like a hammer. Um, I don't fall in love with my hammer, but I do look after it. Some people fall in love with their tools. I don't think that's particularly useful. As long as you understand that this laptop is just a tool, and what it can do can be useful, cannot be useful. Um, I, oh God, that's such a good question. So I can, through this tool, I've met Upcycle Club. He came to Georgia. That was awesome.
He's such a lovely person, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he really is. And I've got a few friends scattered all over the world thanks to this tool. And that's a beautiful thing. And the tool enabled it, but the tool isn't the relationship. The See what I'm saying? I don't know how to put it
Yes.
into words
Yes.
so well.
Well, in the McLuhan, the medium is the message. That's one of Luke's
I hate that
go-to
phrase.
people. Yeah. No, the medium. No. But there's something about video and audio in our capacity to actually see. It's not fully there, right? I can't get your body language. I can't fully get, everything you're thinking and feeling and how you're acting in the moment. But it's a lot. I can get a lot by
Yeah,
seeing you, by and I think it's because of that. This is the deepest level of intimate conversation that is possible over distance, you could say.
yeah.
And so
It's not bad.
yeah. So
It's pretty good.
yeah.
It's not perfect,
Um, but I think when I realized what this place was, what this place or not place was, is the equivalent of like the oasis in the desert. And the desert is something like the shallowness of any interaction. And what this place is like, oh, let's see the depths of the water that we can draw up. And that's the oasis is what brings people together that are thirsty in the desert. Um, yeah. And so if we think about this in terms of the walls and because there is, because my channel, for instance, is a wall in that I have deliberately said, hey, I'm only going to talk to friends. Like I've actually like
well, bless you. I'm a
that's
friend. Yay.
yeah, no, you're in, man.
Cool.
um like I've stated that, I'll state that again. I'm deliberately, so in saying something like that, I am acknowledging the wall that is my own creation, but then in acknowledging it, I also get to craft it in a specific way. So because I could say, well, I will talk to you if you meet these 5 criteria or something like that. But the problem is that's not what I actually want to do. What I actually want to do is like, oh, there are certain people that like call out to me, or I enjoy their company, or I want to get to know better. And then that's really the criteria. So yeah, so
We
I
don't
think
want
I am.
rules. We just want friendship.
Yeah. Um and anyway, this is very like I'm psychoanalyzing myself a bit because I'm like, okay, why am I putting these ridiculous thumbnails that are gonna like, with my head super giant or with the weird expressions or shrunken? And I
What
I
am I
think
doing?
honestly, I think of myself as like a uh, a student of Chad in this regard. Like I'm definitely of the house of Chad, and I'm definitely, and one thing that Chad taught me, and I've definitely learned this from Chad, is that um, the the modern world shows you the beautiful thing, and then beyond the beautiful thing is like, oh, it's actually like you look at the garden that's beyond the beautiful wall, and then the garden is all like wilted and stultified and dying and dried up, and you're just like, man, I was fooled by that wall. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
like for me, I'd rather have a wall that's
Perfect.
like ridiculous and not necessarily ugly, but like at least off-putting, to be like, why would I ever come into communion with this garden? You could say, based on that wall.
But it may be the garden behind the wall is like unimaginably beautiful. It's just most of us don't get that far. I'll take this one step further as well.
Yeah.
A lot of let's pick on the ultimate example of like Hollywood actors. People fall in love with the face that they're showing, which isn't a real face, and they even marry the face they imagine the person to be. But they're not marrying the wall, they're marrying the garden. And after not very long in the marriage, they realize that the garden is rotten. And so they get divorced. And so we're always seeing actors and actresses getting divorced. And it's just like, what do you expect?
It's probably because their wall is so potent, so powerful, that they have spent all of their energy and focus, all the passion that's in the garden, they focused on the wall. And versus
Something like that.
versus the vertical, they focus. So okay. So the wall is the horizontal, because the wall is how we present ourselves to the world. So the wall is in community. Yeah. Oh, that's okay. I got to think about this more, man.
Yeah, that's why it's taken me so long to try and write about this. It's like, damn it, this idea really works. Should we have a little song?
Sure, by all means.
So yeah, my wife played Pink Floyd's The Wall, and I was listening to it, and certain lines just really jumped out at me while I was thinking about this idea. If you wanna find out what's behind these cold eyes, you just have to claw your way through the disguise. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's a disguise. No, let me write the piece first, and then maybe I'll sing more, because I'm going to include some Pink Floyd quotes. So that's one of them. Just a minute.
Oh, sure. We'll pause.
Let's rock
and we
roll.
are back.
What were we?
Disguise. You said
Oh,
you
yeah.
sung the. Yeah, go ahead.
Pink Floyd. Yeah, I mean, most people know that album. It's all about the wall, which is where I came up with the term "the wall in the garden."
There is a. Is that what it means to sell your soul? And it's something like you sacrifice the center, or you sacrifice the vertical, you sacrifice the garden for the wall. Because I think the illusion. Okay.
I think you're right.
I think the illusion is that we can incorporate more from the outside within the confines of the wall. That's the illusion, that we can absorb the worldly things within the confines. And what ends up happening when we do that is those things that we attempt to absorb just build up the wall. They don't actually go into the garden. If anything, the garden dries up, it declines, and the wall grows bigger. Yeah.
To use an example that's becoming more talked about, are there going to be children watching this?
I don't think so. I don't say it's intended for anyone under 18. There's a YouTube setting for that.
Okay, so there's okay, so Epstein and satanic cults and satanic rituals and child abuse and all that dark stuff. Um, MK Ultra. You familiar? Well, not familiar, but you know the
I've heard
name.
it's mind control. I don't know the specifics.
Um, in my opinion, the specifics are to build up a wall, but you have like many angles to the wall, and each face of the wall is designed to protect against a certain attack. And they do this with young children so that they build up all these different walls um, to protect themselves. Um, but in so doing, the walls go so high that the garden doesn't get any sunlight shining through. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. I mean,
Okay.
I had the image of a panopticon come to my mind,
What's
which
the
so a panopticon is the idea of a prison where you're surrounded on all sides by or okay, so it's a prison where in the center you have the guard tower, um, and every single wall of the prison. So imagine like a sphere that's a prison, and every single wall can see
I'm listening.
every single cell can see every other cell. So you have the all-seeing eye in the center that can see everything, and then
The
every
Eye of
other
Sauron.
every other prisoner is the spy for all other prisoners to make sure that they're not trying to escape or do something strange, because everyone sees everyone. It's hell, man. Like, it's complete transparency.
A friend of mine just came out of prison. Sounded like hell.
But
And everyone
it,
he said everyone watches everyone else really, really closely.
yeah,
It's like there are no secrets in prison.
if you think about like the opposite of the walled garden, it's probably a panopticon. It's hard for me to think of anything worse, where it's this idea of like if anyone's corrupt in the panopticon, everyone's corrupt, because one person,
So
like that one cell, can see every other cell
it's
in
like
terms.
Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago.
Yeah.
Everyone is
But
corrupt.
imagine that as a physical structure, that's a wall that's trapping you in, like as a giant sphere.
That's kind of what the Soviet Union was. A friend of mine from Georgia, he said if you survived it, it's because you collaborated. You know, he said that himself. He's almost referring to his parents. It's like, whoa. So, yeah, I think I'm with you. As to soul, God walks in the garden. That's where the soul. Gurdjieff said, "We are born with the soul in embryo." And so to grow the soul means to grow the garden. And if your walls are too high that sunlight can't come in, then your soul stays an embryo. It's not that. Oh, that's such an interesting idea, though. Can yes. God damn it. We have technically the capacity to absorb everything from outside, but we can't do it all at once. First, we have to grow the garden. And as the garden grows, it can absorb more from outside. But if it's just an embryo, it's finished. Just build the walls up.
The capacity to absorb more from the outside. Yeah.
God can absorb everything.
But it takes
So we have
time,
to,
though. It
yeah, and it's, it's like deconstruction. It's painful, but it's not impossible, and it's a worthy cause, shall we say?
is that really the Christian life or the Christian mission? In that, okay, so to go back to the very start of this discussion, you said we all wear a persona, we all wear a mask. For some of us, it's thin. For some of us, it's thick. If we had a shitty childhood, we wear a thicker mask. I attribute my willingness and capacity to be um, more myself. Um,
Whatever that means.
yes, whatever that means. My willingness and capacity to be more myself in this space. In all aspects of my life, I would say, actually, I would. I mean, the walls are higher in, let's say, corporate life or in church, but not really. Um, but my willingness and capacity to be more myself increases to the extent that I have faith. So you could say that the taller the garden is within me, the more
The-
porous or the more dynamic the walls become. I'm not saying that the walls aren't there, but I would say that they become more almost like a dance. Like the wall molds itself to the situation, to the subject.
the the problem is we don't nourish the garden.
Mm.
If you can learn how to nourish the garden, then it grows and the walls become less important.
I don't think the walls are I kind of started out this conversation thinking, the goal is to remove the walls,
Um,
but I don't actually think that's true. I think it's more so that the walls service the binding of different gardens or the connections between gardens.
I've
Um,
been wrestling with this problem, and I think
yeah,
you're right. And I've been wrestling with it 20 years, and it's like, damn it, he just came up with an answer in an hour. There are some really smart people in this little corner.
no, but what's I'm trying to come up with an image that where that matches, where like the walls become roads or conduits or and I can't think of any image where that's the case. Um,
It's our interface to the outside world, so that they're
mhm,
technically sit on the horizontal, as you said.
yeah.
Um, they can be higher or lower. Um, I don't think we have a choice about whether they exist or not. They exist. And then it's what do we do with them?
One
Decorate them. Why not?
Yeah, one image that I've had for a while, and this is kind of a source of pride in me in that it should be demolished. Like I don't like this aspect of myself, but I have this source of pride that like I always look very vanilla. Like I'm always wearing the same kinds of black shirts. If you saw my car is the most boring, mundane. Like I can drive 10 miles, 15 miles over the speed limit and not get pulled over because a police officer would look at my car and be like, that's not a threat. Like whatever that is, that's not I like I- if I'm not picking up any chicks in this car. It's not happening. Like you can look it up. It's a 2009 uh,
I think the beard does
Hyundai.
the same thing.
This I don't know, man.
Oh, he's got a big
Some
white beard. He's harmless.
I've always, you have the lady. It's like I've always had images of Santa Claus in my head and romantic relationships for Santa.
Yeah, nobody does that.
Yeah. Um, but so I've always worn my walls as like because I noticed from a very young age, and I think I got this
Inconspicuous.
from my father. Like from a very young age, I noticed that most people try to um on the outside have the most attractive uh aspect. And but the reason that and I'm not saying there's not a place for that. Like when Peterson was encouraging people to dress up to go to his shows and wearing the suits and
Put on
stuff.
all these suits
Yeah.
and
But
stuff.
then I think when as Peterson was putting on these like postmodern or ridiculous suits, in some ways, I no, I think he
They
was
were
falling
as well.
I think he was falling trapped to this problem, which is like the image of Peterson was taking place over the garden. Like he was beginning to project an image of himself, um, and that was taking away from the garden his connection with the vertical rather than enriching it. And I think that's honestly
He
probably the
probably had
main.
to though. Once you get to 1 million followers,
Yeah.
you need a good wall.
Mhm.
Um, if you've ever tried to communicate with Jonathan Pajot, he's got so many guards on his wall. It's really annoying. You just can't get to him.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
And I love
because
the guy.
and
I
he
think
would
it's
he
awesome.
would he would say it's because, well, that's reserved for his family and his wife, and that's right. That's correct.
Yeah, fair enough,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you take that like times 10 with Jordan Peterson. He has to put some kind of wall up there.
Mm.
So yeah, I get it. It's fine. He enjoys the company of his daughter, we can say. They have a blast when they do podcasts together. So yeah,
Yeah.
just 1 minute. Not
Sure.
1 minute. 10 seconds.
Tea.
I'm English, of course. Tea.
Yes. What
None
brought
of
you
that
to
dirty
Georgia? I
coffee,
I
Mark.
I I believe that you talked about that at some point in the past, but I don't remember, um, what brought you to
Sorry,
Georgia.
I misheard the question.
Oh, what originally brought you to Georgia?
Oh yeah, I did. I did a when PVK was doing randos. I talked about that.
Mm.
Um, this won't shock you. I like the folk music.
I do remember that now. I remember you at some point, PVK. This was over a year ago. This is a while ago, but I remember it was the first impression I had of you, and it was like 1 a.m. in Georgia, and you dialed in, and you were
3 a.m.
tipsy, or 3 a.m., and you were clear.
No, I
There
was
were people in
drunk.
your house, and you were clearly like a little tipsy, and I thought it was
I was drunk.
hilarious. But PVK was like more annoyed publicly than I've seen him because he's a teetotaler. PVK doesn't drink.
He is a teetotaler, but he kind of hinted in one podcast that because of his job as a preacher and a kind of emotional caretaker, can I say, he really doesn't want to fully express what's going on inside him. That could be bad. So
Yeah,
he doesn't drink
yeah. Well, that's
because
the
alcohol. Sorry.
well, no, I'd like to talk about that. And the reality of that is that a pastor cannot minister. I'm making a
Really not my
controversial and
field.
dangerous. I'm making a controversial and dangerous statement here in some way, shape, or form. Um, maybe what I'm really saying, I'm not saying that a pastor can't minister, but a pastor cannot come into direct relationship with, because a pastor has to stay um,
Distant.
removed or yeah, responsible for the flock, you could say. Um,
What do you mean by minister?
hmm, hmm. What do I mean by that? Oh, I have to really think about this.
Yeah, we're asking difficult stuff
It,
from each other.
well, I think it's related somewhat to the it's the difference between a confessional, like being in the confessional booth, and being a friend. Or there's a difference in relationship, and if you start blending the two, I think it's very dangerous because
Okay, I
if you
think
s-
I'm with
if
you.
yeah, if you start blending the two, I think it's something like then the friend starts saying, "Hey, you should confess this. That's a problem." And you could say, "No, it's not a problem." And the friend goes, "No, it is a problem." And you're like, "That's just your opinion, man." And then the yeah, so it's a weird thing between if I'm a friend with Jesus, then when I then when I need to confess something, then his reality wells up within me.
Well, he
Then
already
it well,
knows.
yeah. But
You
but
don't need to confess to Christ. He already knows.
but to no, it's so that's something that I think a lot of people my father said, well, God knows my sins better than I do, and as long as I'm sorry for my sins, why do I need to he didn't say this, but, like, why do I need to itemize them? Like, why do I need to specifically call them out? And I think it's because I think the reason that we're asked, at least in my tradition, that we are asked to call them out is because it forces us to actually take this life seriously.
It's
It Yeah, go ahead.
can I just
Mhm,
so when you have a this is going to sound weird, I suspect.
mhm,
The most difficult questions we have are the ones that we don't know how to put into words. Once we learn how to put a question into words, the answer is normally quite easy, but it's finding the words for the question that's the really tricky stuff. And the ones we can't, they are the real questions that we have.
mhm.
And so if you find a way of putting a sin into words, that's not nothing.
Mhm.
And then if you speak them, that's another.
It's a
Piece of
voluntary
armor,
act.
something.
The first thing is it's not being owned by fear. Is that fear is not owning
Also
you.
that. Um, and sharing them is another level, another chink, another piece of armor you're adding to fortify yourself against the sin.
Well, in some ways, I think it's taking, the crack or the flaw or the problem, and then it's opening that and just saying like, "Hey, I can't fix this," or like, "I have this issue and I need help." And then
Yeah.
maybe in the act of like maybe that's it. The act of saying I need help or I want forgiveness, you're basically turning the crack or the problem in the wall into the conduit. That then becomes the connection.
You, you're shoving the problem into your own face so that you can't not hide from it. I think that's really helpful.
Well,
I
it
think
it's the
confession is really useful.
well, it's the opposite of the like the outside of the wall reflecting like the most let's say beautiful things that I can envision that I'm presenting to the world, and it's this is very interesting because on one hand, Peterson talks about make a room in your house as beautiful as you can, and I tried to do that, you know. Um,
It's a work in progress.
yeah, no, you I mean,
I like it.
yeah, I think it very much suits you, and as mine suits me. Like my room is chaos for the casual person. You know, they'll take a look at that and go like, "Wow, there's just so much going on." But actually, it's quite well organized, and there's a good amount of space. And um, anyway,
Can I
but
can I just
yeah,
quickly show you? We've got a wall. My wife's idea. She said, "Let's have a guest wall,
mhm.
and anyone who visits us can draw whatever they want on the
On the
wall."
guest wall. That's so
Yeah,
cool. That's such a cool
or
idea.
paint, in fact, because we got paintbrushes and stuff. It's there if you can see it.
That's awesome. That looks so
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Do you want to hear something really weird?
sure.
Nobody over the age of 20 has drawn anything on it apart from me and my wife.
That's not weird.
It's
Why?
freaky.
Well, it's because people forget. I think that's why people, drink at parties and stuff because the walls have gotten so strong that they forget how to be like children. And
Yeah, Christ said, what did he say about children? You must be like children, something.
yeah, well, to receive the kingdom of God, yes. So, um,
Just going to blow my nose again, forgive me.
yeah, this is Matthew 19. Let the little children come to me. Do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. So in that scene, his apostles are almost acting as a wall around him to protect their king, protect their savior. And they're stopping the little children from coming to Jesus because Jesus is just talking to the important people in that particular moment. And it's like, so they as the apostle, Jesus says, no, 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 the wall is completely permeable to me. And the children, yeah, I love that image.
Yeah, so do I.
Mhm,
Um, and there was Claire Core was commenting on one of your previous podcasts,
mhm.
and she said something like, why should responsible men be childlike?" And I'm like,
Because otherwise you end up bitter and resentful. That's why.
well, also that. But it's this, so many adults are just the wall and not the garden, and the garden is where the childlike play happens, and it's where God walks, and it's what connects us. So there's your answer, Claire, if you're listening. Bless you.
I had a dream last night. And
Uh-oh. Do I
I
want to
have
hear it?
not well, okay, so first off, I have not remembered almost any dream whatsoever for at least a couple of years now.
Same.
And typically I only at least in the recent past, like in the last like I'll call it 10 years of my life, adult life, I've only had dreams or at least remember dreams when I'm going through something pretty tumultuous. Um, and but by all accounts, the dream I had last night was a really beautiful. Uh, so is weird and it was scary, but so it's not long. I can tell it very quick. Uh, I'm so my mother is in the passenger side of like a van and there's no one in the driver's seat of the van. My mother's in the passenger side. Wait, in Georgia, do they drive on the side of
Same as you guys.
is that the same as America? Okay. Okay. So my mother's on the right side of the van, the vehicle. And and I'm like hanging on to her outside the van. Like I'm kind of outside almost like Marty McFly in like on a skateboard or something. I don't think I'm on a skateboard, but it's like that kind of imagery. Like I'm hanging on to my mother and the van on the outside of it, and there's no one in the driver's seat, but the van is speeding up, and the van is accelerating more and more and more, and I can't. And my mother's scared, and I'm scared, and I can't control the van. And then even scarier, the van. So now it's going at like 25, like it's going faster than I can move. Like it's almost dragging me, but I'm continuing to hold on to the van and my mother. And the van goes over a cliff. And like yeah, but it's in the middle of this forest, like in the very tall trees, like very tall, like beautiful pine trees. And the van is like plummeting down. And I don't remember anything until I remember like I'm woken up and my shirt is like caught on the like on a like a branch or a nub of the tree, and I'm like holding on to my mother, or I have my mother, and I'm just like holding on like I'm basically like like I get my shirt like stuck on a tree, and then
Wow.
and then like I let go, like I get loose, and then I fall down, and it turns out like the ground is like 2 inches, or like 6 centimeters below where I got stuck by the tree, and then I'm fine, and the tree like saved my life, and I don't know where the van is or anything, and that's it, that's the dream. And I woke up with this dream, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Well, first of all, it's so rare that like you have a good dream, you
That's
got
a
like a
wild
beautiful
dream.
dream. But yeah,
Oh,
and second is like,
5.08 centimeters.
oh, what was that?
5.08 centimeters.
5.08. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Sorry. I'm an engineer as well.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, in some ways, it reminds me of the scene in Lord of the Rings where Sam and Frodo are going down the side of a cliff with the rope, with the elven rope, and they're like, "I can't see the bottom," and then they let go. Or like they accidentally
Yeah.
let go, and then the bottom is like right there,
Yeah.
and they're fine. Um, but it struck me when I woke up this morning, and I woke up maybe like 15 minutes before we were scheduled to talk. And but when I woke up, I was like, wow,
Man.
man, that's such a powerful image of God's grace. Like the tree, the thing that connects heaven and earth, and it like catches me at the like in effect, the tree acted as an angel in that moment. Like it caught me and saved me. That's how I felt, at least. And then like holding on to my mother. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's interesting. It's definitely not saving my father from the underworld in Petersonian terms, but it's saving my mother, as she's in the passenger side. I don't know. I got to think about that more. So, anyone with thoughts on that dream, please feel free to comment below.
Yeah, I've
So,
got nothing to add to that one. I'm like, wow, that's a
yeah,
dream.
yeah. No, and it's like I said, it's like the first dream I've remembered vividly in a pretty long time, and
I think you
um,
probably nailed it.
yeah.
Um,
I'm
the car's
curious, like
going off
what
a
my
cliff
mother
and
is to.
God's got you.
What was that?
The car's going off a cliff and God's got you.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious what my mother is emblematic of there. And as I'm like outside of the car, so I'll think about it more outside of the. Yeah.
It's because something we have to go through
Mhm,
as we age,
mhm.
and something I'm watching at the moment is I'm becoming slowly but surely the elder generation.
Mhm.
And I remember going to my uncle's on. Do you have Boxing Day? The day after
No,
Christmas.
I think Canada does, but no, we declared independence from
Okay.
Boxing Day.
But I went to my uncle's a few years ago, and not for the first time, but I was like looking at all these kids playing around and remembering when I was the kid playing around at my grandparents' house on Christmas Day, on Boxing Day. And I'm like, I'm I'm a different generation now. And now as our parents are slowly dying off, I'm becoming the eldest generation, and it's kind of weird, but there's also this acceptance of responsibility. So I'm in this position where I'm responsible for my children, but I'm also responsible for my parents. Yeah. And so, yeah. So maybe you're going through that and your dream represented that.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some of that. Yeah, my mother had a stroke about, um, 4 years ago, and it's, she's still just has her daily routine, and it's not particularly, dignified, I'll put it that way, but my luckily, my parents are stable in their life, and they're doing okay. Not, not great, but I get to see them fairly often, and, but yeah, no, I do think about that, and I'm the oldest son, so yeah.
Yeah. So this tough middle ground that we have to go through. And it's okay. It's just tough.
So we just crossed an hour 20. I figure we could slowly begin to wind down the conversation, but is there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to talk about more? Because, like you mentioned to me, science and religion. And
Okay. This could take hours. So
we could get
I have a slightly different view of how the universe works to everyone, except maybe there was this actor on Joe Rogan. He seemed to have similar views to me, which shocked me. But it'll take a long time. So Big Bang, no, didn't happen. Uh, or maybe it did happen, but it didn't happen at a singularity. It happened all over the universe at exactly the same time. And that's the Logos. God breathed life into the universe. So, in that respect, it combines the science and religious views into one. Um, breath is wind, is as Pajot says, spirit, Holy Spirit. Logos and Holy Spirit are the same thing. People argue with me about that one. I'm like, no, it's the same thing. Sorry.
Well, I don't know how to sufficiently differentiate them. So the I try not to worry about things that are of God, and if it's of God, it's of God, and yeah.
Yeah. Now, mm, uh, so they say the universe is 11 billion years old. And if you do the calculations, it means the sun has orbited the galaxy almost exactly 400 times, assuming the galaxy appeared at the beginning of the universe, as they state at the time. How many times has the Earth orbited the sun? And it's however many billion times, I don't know. So the idea that the sun has only orbited the galaxy 400 times to me is absolute nonsense. So the universe is way, way older than what they are saying. And it was caused differently. I can't remember what else you were saying, that you found a contradiction between the scientific and the religious views.
Well, for example, to the best of my knowledge, there's no historical evidence, like scientific evidence of the Jewish people being in Egypt or the parting of the Red Sea, the Reed Sea, as Moses leads his people out of Egypt. So, like, if there was a people that was enslaved, that was like proto is Israelite, that was, tens or hundreds of thousands of people in Egypt, you would expect to find some archaeological evidence of that. And I think to the best of my understanding, that hasn't been found. So that's one example.
Mm. That's not something I care about, to be honest.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's a good story.
Yeah. How do you think of the beginning of time or the beginning of the universe? How do you think about that in terms of the 7 days of creation or Adam and Eve?
I'll be writing about that on my Substack.
Oh, don't give away the lead then. Yeah, you got it. I'll
Whatever.
post a link to your sub. I'll pin a comment of your
Bless you.
Substack to this.
You're familiar with you're a musician. You're familiar with the octave.
A little bit. I'm self-taught. Like I have no formal musical training
But
aside from elementary
do, re,
school.
mi, fa, sol, la, si, do.
Do re mi fa mi re do mi. No.
What if I were to tell you that the octave is also fractal and universal?
I would say you have to explain the weird black keys on the piano. What's going on there?
Okay. So the key of C is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. 8 notes, an octave. If you take the fifth note, which is halfway between the lower C and the upper C, that's G. So if you go G, A, B, C, D, E, it should be F, but it's not. It doesn't fit the pattern. So it has to be a middle note in between F and G. So we call it F sharp, and we put it black on the piano. And then the fifth note from G is D, C, D, D. And then you go D, E, F, G. I'm going to mess this up now. Sorry. D, E, F sharp, because it's copying the G note. D, G, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. And now you need another sharp, C sharp, D. So that's basically where all the black notes come from. But if you take, for example, evolution. Sorry, let's go back one. From a universal fractal point of view, the notes represent points of rest. So something moves for a certain period and then rests at a certain level, and then it moves, and then it rests, and then it moves, and it rests. These rest points I need to put my thoughts on paper and organize them. But if you take, for example, evolution, you get this rapid movement and then a point
And
of
then
rest.
speciation. Yeah, where the species is stable. Yeah, very rapid and boom.
Yeah, and that appears to be, to me, an image of the octave. You get this rapid movement, period of rest.
I want to read that. You should write about that because
I'm
I
circling
don't
around
understand. I don't understand music, and yet I have this deep intuition that the patterns of music are it is the best way of describing the patterns of reality in terms of how reality actually manifests itself. And I have that deep intuition, but I don't really understand that.
Yeah, so they talk about the music of the spheres and the planets. The distance the planets are away from each other follows the octave. What else? I need to get it all down, but So you talk about the 7 days of creation, looks a bit like an octave to me. And on the eighth day, there was a repetition. And then we have 7 days of the week, and the eighth day is a repeat of the first day, which is Sunday or Monday, depending on what you follow. And then 4 weeks is the moon cycle. However many weeks is pregnancy, I forget now, but it's all related to the octave. And then you have the Trinity, which is another one I'm circling around the outside of, and I'm going to write it at some point. I spent years, I was scratching my head thinking, well, science says there are 4 fundamental forces in the universe. And I'm like, well, if the Trinity is true, there could only be 3 fundamental forces. And I scratched my head about that for a long time. And then I realized gravity wasn't fundamental, and it appears as part of the flow of the octave through the universe, which I really can't put into words right now. But so now we have 3 forces: the strong nuclear force, the weak nuclear force, and the electromagnetic force. The electromagnetic force looks a lot like the Logos to me, or the Holy Spirit. And so if you go along with that, then it proves the Bible creation myth.
Gotcha. Interesting. It's
Sorry, Sam Tiedemann.
well, it strikes me as there was a branch of Protestantism that started. I think it was like late 1800s, or it's like I think it's Christian Science or something. Let me look it up. Christian Science. Yeah, it's founded in 1879 by Mary Baker Eddy. It's known for its belief in spiritual healing through prayer and a specific understanding of metaphysics. The denomination emphasizes the primacy of spirit as the ultimate reality, relegating matter to an illusion. Christian Science is often described as a thinker's religion, and has been the fastest growing and has been the fastest growing religion in the United States at one point. Interesting. There are certain things in here I don't think you believe, though, but because they say the dismissal of evil as an illusion.
I don't know what the word evil means.
See, I think there are
like,
Christians that fall into.
He uses the word good and bad. I quite like that.
Yeah,
I can't say I can separate the difference. I'm not sure what the word evil means.
Good and bad. Yeah. Well, there are two. There are two. I think sides of the evil question within Christianity, within mainstream Christianity that I see. It's like, well, evil is just the absence of good, and then evil is a specific personality, a specific force that wants something. And I'm more in the second camp.
If I was pushed, I would say evil is the intention to distance someone from God.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. So, yeah, okay, I'll call it evil. Why not?
Oh, do you mind holding on for 1 second?
Nope.
All right, so we're back for our conclusion, but I did want to say to you, Mark, I've appreciated your insights. You tend to move humbly through the corner, but you occasionally throw haymaker punches in interesting ways. And I also think, you think like a poet. You think in symbols and illusions, and I really appreciate that, because I think there's, as much as we criticize the left brain, I think there's a predominance of left brain philosophical engineering thinking, but I know you're an engineer, but you've you do think like a poet, I think, more so than an engineer. So yeah, I
Oh, I'll have
appreciate
to
it.
check with my wife on that. She says I
Yeah.
speak with a sledgehammer.
Well, yeah, a poet can sledgeham from time to time. Yeah,
I don't mean to.
yeah.
I'm always trying to be gentle. It just sometimes it's just bam.
No,
Sorry. Oops.
no. Well, I'm gonna play this to end the conversation. And thank you, Mark. It's been a joy. We'll definitely
Okay.
do this
I
again.
really enjoyed this. Bless you, Neil. You have a great day and everything.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Cheers.
Final beard of the evening. We have Mr. Mark Jackson. And I have to apologize to Mr. Jackson and his lovely wife for forcing him to grow his beard an extra 10 centimeters simply for the purpose of making this show.
You do have a really great beard.
So on behalf of all of us at Worldly News, sorry, Mark Jackson!